What's up, boxing fans? It's Aztec 101. Oh shit, I gotta turn this shit around. I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody, all my subscribers, even some of you motherfuckers that didn't subscribe. Fuck you, but happy Thanksgiving. Um, Maybe talk a little bit of boxing. Honestly, I just got done hanging out with the family, having something to eat, so I thought, hey, why not? I might as well put something up here and smoke a blunt with you guys. Let's get this shit started. Again, I put out this. I'm putting out this video without really much of a heads up to some of my subscribers that this video is going up. So I might as well just kind of freestyle the whole thing. I don't really have much to talk about, but there's a lot going on. If anybody jumps on and you got something to say, go ahead. Feel free. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys want to talk about. But there's a lot going on. One of the main things that I do want to talk about is Oscar De La Hoya. He has been talking about coming back and fighting Conor McGregor, which is kind of frustrating, especially after a lot of people were behind Oscar De La Hoya when he was pointing out how much of a freak show Floyd versus Conor McGregor was. And obviously it's hypocritical and it's kind of bullshit that Oscar De La Hoya really thinks that people want to see this fight. You know what, Oscar, if you're going to come back and fight Triple G. He talks a lot because a while back he said that he was going to come back to fight Triple G. He said if he were to come back, he would want to fight Triple G. He'd want to fight one of the top fighters. So if you're going to do that, then why don't you come back and fight, I don't know, Jermall Charlo? I mean, I think we'll have a lot of respect for you if you came back and fought Jermall. But coming back and fighting Conor McGregor, I mean, stay retired. You know what I mean? That's pretty much all I can say. I might as well just stay retired. Stay as a promoter. Don't come back. That's a waste of a pay-per-view. No one's really going to spend that money. But he gave Floyd Mayweather a lot of shit for making that fight. And he's kind of playing both sides of the coin. He's been doing this for a while where he'll mention it as if it's a disgrace to boxing, but then again he's kind of open for promoting Conor McGregor, and I'm sure there's something going on there. If he does fight Conor McGregor, I guarantee you he's going to try to shoot for future promotion. So meaning not just promoting Oscar De La Hoya versus Conor McGregor, but probably promoting Conor McGregor's next 3 fights in boxing, and the same way he did with Floyd. I was talking about, in my last video, I was talking about Rigondeaux versus Lomachenko. This is a fight that I was actually thinking about today. I'm working on my breakdown. There's so many things, so many variables that it's kind of hard to put out a breakdown when this fight, it's one of those fights where there's a certain way I expect it to go, but I want to cover all the bases. I want to be able to talk about some of the stylistic issues that each fighter is going to bring, right? In order for me to do that, I kind of have to predict what they're going to do in every situation, so that way I can cover what to expect. I mean, that way my prediction is on point, or else I'm just talking out my ass. But part of me is thinking, who's going to be the aggressor in this fight? Is Lomachenko going to be the aggressor? Will Rigo be the one fighting on a back foot? Will it be the other way around? Is Rigondeaux going to try to be the aggressor in this fight? I mean, I think it might be smart if he tried to be the aggressor at certain points of the fight, but Rigo is a very defensive fighter. Um, but at the end of the day, there's also a lot of pride on the line. I think that Rigo has that fire in him, and he might doing more. Might end up doing more than we expect. Um, and then Deontay Wilder, that's a big fight with Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is talking about possibly fighting Deontay Wilder. I just saw a video. I don't know who it was from. I think it was Hatman Strikes Back, talking about how Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua is saying that he's going to knock out Deontay Wilder with one punch. Um, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Have that faith. But guarantee you're going to eat punches on your way to that one punch knockout. And within that time, all it takes is one punch from either of you guys. So that's a good fight. That's a good fight. And then I heard that there's rumors going around that there's a possibility that Canelo is not going to rematch Triple G. I don't know how much people are really looking forward to that fight. They're probably not really looking forward to the fight because the first fight didn't go as planned, and it didn't go the way it was sold. A lot of people were selling this, or they were sold on the fact that this was going to be a fight. It's kind of like this fake. It was this fake. I guess promotion that this was going to be a war. Both these guys were known boxers. Canelo is kind of a counterpuncher. He's kind of the type of fighter that he likes to think while he moves. He's not necessarily throwing punches just to throw them. And then you got Triple G, who's aggressive, but his amateur pedigree, it just showed that this guy is much more of a boxer than he is of a brawler. In my head, I thought this was going to be an action-packed fight, and it turned out to be an action-packed boxing match. And I think that a lot of people, they're very specific on what they want these fighters to do. And since it didn't turn out to be a fight, then they don't really want to see it again. And at the end of the day, the customer's always right. So I don't know what's going on. What do you guys think? Is it that Canelo doesn't want the rematch? Triple G doesn't want the rematch? Is it the fans that don't want the rematch? I mean, there's different ways we can talk about this fight. But at the end of the day, what matters is what the fans want. So Daniel Jacobs, David Lemieux, Jamal Charlo. I think there's also a fight between Charlo and Hugo Centeno. So that fight, that's a pretty good fight. I mean, whoever is next in line to get a big main event fight between either of these fighters, I think that's just as big as Canelo versus Triple G. We got everything out of the way. This was a fight that we didn't think was going to happen, and it ended up happening. So all the excitement kind of went out the window. Everyone already got that rush out of the way because early. They got the rush out of the way early because this fight was expected not to happen. Since it happened, I mean, what's there to wonder about? What are the odds that this fight is going to turn out any different? Where Triple G is actually going to get the knockout? Where Triple G is actually going to get any more respect than he did against Canelo? And then what are the chances that Canelo is going to do anything different? There's a good chance that this is just going to turn out to be the same shit over and over again if they fight again. So that's what people are worried about. Might as well start looking at other fighters. I like Lemieux. I like Lemieux for Triple G. I mean, not for Triple G, for Canelo. I also like Charlo for Canelo. And for Triple G, I think Billy Joe Saunders or Daniel Jacobs is a good fight. And I think that's a tougher route for everyone. You know, that's the harder route. That's the harder route for everyone. Because if it comes down to where Canelo's forced to fight someone else other than Triple G, that leaves little room for him to try to push off some of these fighters that are already on top and making a name for themselves. It makes it harder for him to push him off, and he's forced to kind of have to take on that challenge right away. So I wouldn't mind seeing him up against Jamal Charlo or David Lemieux. I think those are great fights for since he's already with the promotional company that can put him in with Lemieux. Fuck it, why not put him in with Lemieux? Lemieux's a good fight, really good fight. I mean, Lemieux's a heavy hitter, so there's a good chance that Lemieux could put him down. And fuck, I don't know how people do these fucking videos, man. My arm's getting tired a little bit. I gotta hold this shit up at an angle, or else my fucking face looks fat as fuck. Look at that. That's all that turkey and ham I just had. I hope all you guys had a great Thanksgiving. I wanted to come on here and do a little bit of boxing talk, but I didn't really think it through, so I don't have anything prepared. I'm just kind of talking. Just got done hanging out with the family, eating, grubbing, which is what I'm assuming everyone is doing. I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Try not to drink and drive. Drive and drink. That's a little bit different. You might get away with that. But don't drink and drive. Once you're drunk and you get in that car, you're fucked. So, you know, it's a hotel at the end of the day is cheaper. Speaking of which, does anyone know, and I know that I don't have right now anybody watching me live, but does anybody know what happened with Deontay Wilder and him getting caught with weed? Because I know that some shit had happened where he was caught with marijuana, and he got pulled over. He said that the weed wasn't his. He was talking about how I think it was a friend of his or whatever, but I mean, it's kind of sad that there's still states that haven't caught on to this program where, you know, this prohibition just got to stop. It's good that it hasn't gotten in the way of Deontay Wilder's career, though. I don't think no jail time, right? So that's good. Next year is going to be a breaking point because this year has been one of the best years of boxing in a long time. It is what it is. We haven't had a year like this in the past 15 years where we can really be proud of boxing and some of the fights that we've had. You know what I mean? I mean, shit, so much has happened this year. Fights that we didn't expect was going to happen, they've been made this year. Fighters have retired. You have new fighters jumping in. You got a bright future for boxing. A bright future. We had a win against a UFC fighter. You know, that's a win for boxing. And that is that. You know, Floyd Mayweather brought home a win for boxing. And I mean, he brought a win for boxing. He put on a freak show. He was definitely not in the best position to win the talking shit contest, but he stood out there and he took the blows like a man. And at the end of the day, what happened? Talking shit. Who won? the the disc the disc fucking challenge. Who won that shit? Doesn't matter. That's what everyone was talking about, was who went in harder during the promotion. But everything got real when they got in the ring. Once they got in the ring, that's it. That's all that mattered. Floyd brought home a win for boxing. That's great for 2017. And then you got some amazing knockouts this year with Jermall Charlo. Just building on his resume. What Errol Spence has did this year. Lomachenko, Rigondeaux. Erislandy Lara is the only one not doing shit. Not doing shit. This has been a great year for boxing, but Erislandy Lara hasn't done shit, so I mean, fuck it. Then you have, who else? I mean, Chocolatito, going on his up and down. Got knocked out this year. I mean, there's so many changes in boxing that this is what makes boxing fun. The only thing we're missing is the heavyweight fight that we've been wanting. That's it. We want that heavyweight fight. A lot of people are asking for Anthony Joshua to just step it up. Anthony Joshua should come to the States and try to fight someone outside his hometown. Come chase that belt. Come over here. Let's see how that goes for you. You could sell. Can you sell here? And at the end of the day, you know that if you can sell here, then you'll probably stay here. Because there's more money to be made. And Deontay Wilder just has not been able to tap into that opportunity. There's more money to be made here, but Deontay Wilder has not been able to tap into it. Why? I don't know. This is a lot more complicated than just being able to give out an answer on YouTube. But there's something that they're not doing. Something's missing. Something's missing. You don't have a fighter like that with that kind of personality, that kind of energy, a positive figure, a powerful figure in the ring and outside the ring. You don't get that every day, and he hasn't been able to market himself to become a star, and there's something missing. I don't think it has anything to do with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is a full package. It's got something to do with what's going on in the background. There's something missing. I don't know. I don't know what else to talk about. How about, what do you guys think about Mikey Garcia turning down a fight against Cotto? Cotto's fighting Saddam Ali, and as a going away fight, to be honest, he deserves better. Deserves a better fight. I mean, there's other fighters out there that can make him a lot of money. I mean, fuck, man, I'd rather see him fight Mayorga or some shit like that. But to fight Saddam Ali as a go away fight, that shit doesn't make sense. And then you got, and then you have, who else? Errol Spence. Errol Spence also didn't take the fight with Miguel Cotto. to be honest, this might be somewhat of a mistake for these guys because one thing I noticed that helped Canelo was being able to perform really well against some of these older fighters, and it started with Mosley. It really, honestly, it started with Kermit Cintron. I think this was a way to, on the low end, be able to get some hardcore boxing fans realize that this guy, this young kid, is able to compete with a former champion, right? So Kermit Cintron was a good stepping stone, but Sugar Shane Mosley, that was a bigger fight for Canelo, and it didn't stop there. It's not like even after he got recognition, it was done. It was still, he still wanted to prove himself against other guys that were on their way out, but they're great fighters and they have a legacy. So he continued with Miguel Cotto, and I mean, in some senses, you can say that he continued that with Triple G, because Triple G, he's on the tail end of his career, so there could be a good chance that he also is following that same formula with Triple G. And now these young guys like, you know, you got Mikey Garcia. As of right now, as of the people that I know that were offered the fight, you got Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence, right? So these guys, they were offered the fight, they didn't take the fight. I think they're going to eventually figure out that probably a bad move. I think it's a bad move. Maybe they could have done something to negotiate this to be just a one fight deal, because I know Mikey Garcia was bringing up that Golden Boy Promotions wanted to not just promote this fight, but probably promote the next couple fights, give him the money that he wanted, and all that. Apparently he got the money, but he didn't want to fight for them for too long. Which, okay, I understand that, but I think Mikey Garcia fucked up. Errol Spence, not so much. I think Errol Spence has his eyes on Keith Thurman, which is another story for right now, but it doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, you know, David Rollo, what happens in a few days? What do you mean? Anyways, yeah, like I was saying, the fight between Miguel Cotto, his last fight, he's fighting Saddam Ali, who is a fighter on the come up. Even though he lost to Jesse Vargas, I think he still has a bright future. Vargas is a good fighter. He's not the most powerful puncher, but he's been able to, you know, make some noise by knocking out Saddam Ali, and then also, obviously, he rocked Timothy Bradley towards the end of the fight, which was it was a good move for him. You know, people recognize that he can hit, and Miguel Cotto is a respected fighter right now. Everyone thinks he's a diva. Everyone thinks he's a diva, and I get it. But as far as his boxing legacy, I think people respect him. Especially with that whole storyline with Margarito. I mean, it took balls for him to take that beating, and even though it was an illegal beating, you know what I mean? Like, it was criminal. And he still took it, came back, and wanted to fight him again. He wanted to get his revenge. I like that from Miguel Cotto. I wish that fire was still there in him. But I think he's ready to leave the sport. You know, I think he's ready to leave the sport. Probably could have left the sport a while ago. But just, he's not active. Canelo has had quite a few fights after the Cotto fight. But Cotto, on the other hand, he hasn't done shit. He's not doing shit. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Jesus, man, I see people pop in and out on the stream. If there's something you want to talk about, let me know. I'm right now freestyling this thing. I'm not really. I don't have anything planned. Look at my fucking mustache. It's all fucked up. There we go. See, the shit can go off to the side, and it'd be all off, and it looks like my face is not straight, but there we go. Shit's clean now. All right. David Rollo, what happens in a few days? I'm still trying to figure out what you mean by that. So, ultimately, I think Mikey Garcia fucked up. He fumbled on not taking the fight against Cotto. I think this is also a mistake for. It's a mistake for Errol Spence, but the biggest difference with Errol Spence is there's other fights around him that he can take because he's already a champion at 147. So there's other fights he can take. While you have Mikey Garcia, who's not at 147 yet. So why would he fight someone who's at 160? That's moving up in weight, and that's taking a huge risk. Huge risk. Huge risk. There's a really good chance that Mikey Garcia could get knocked the fuck out by Miguel Cotto. Right now, there's a big size difference between Miguel Cotto and Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia has a frame. He can build up his weight. That shit can happen. But to make it the next fight, I don't know if he can do it. But still, it's an opportunity of a lifetime. Sometimes these fighters got to start taking these opportunities when they're there, when they're available. You know, it's not about taking. I don't think these guys are taking the easy way out. I think what they're doing is actually, by not taking the tough fights early, they're saving those tough fights for later. And what ends up happening is it makes their career a lot tougher to maintain. And they're really taking the harder route. They're just procrastinating stepping up in levels. They're taking the same routes. At the end of the day, they have the same goal. In order to get to that goal, you have to do something. But some people get those tough fights out of the way early, and other fighters, they save them for the right times in their career, you know, because there's always going to be the next test. So there's no really, some of them really feel like there's no rush. Others feel like they every time they compete and every time they surpass what people think they're capable of doing, at the end of the day, there's always going to be someone else that they have to fight. Hold on one second. I have my blunt somewhere. I know I put it out, but did I finish it? Huh. I think I finished it. Alright guys, so this is what I want to do. I need your help. I definitely need you guys' help. Tell me what you guys want to talk about on the next video. Let me know if there's any topic, any fighters, any specific matchups, breakdowns, anything historically. What do you want to hear? You know, there has to be a little bit more content that I'm not even thinking of that I can provide with you guys if you ask. So, you know, help me out here. I'm trying to develop my channel. I'm trying to come up with some good content, but sometimes shit's kind of tough, man. There's really nothing going on, or things are going great. I'm just too busy being a fan, watching everything go by, and I'm not really putting out my opinion. So just let me know what you guys think. Leave it in the comment section. Tell me if there's something you guys want to talk about, and you know, I'll go ahead and I'll push it. I'm open to debates. There's other channels out there that think that there's something I'm saying that is wrong, I'm dead wrong on something, and if I hold a strong opinion that I'm right, um, then we can have a debate. I'm open to debates. I'm open to conversations. At the end of the day, this is all supposed to be. It can't be one-sided. I can't just be talking and there's no one. Everyone agrees. No one disagrees. So if you disagree, let me know. Don't feel like you're gonna get bombarded with hate. Disagreeing with me is not. It's. I actually I prefer it on my channel. It makes this channel a little bit more fun when there's people that disagree, because um, I'm not just seeing the same shit over and over again. I'm not just seeing people say good video, I agree, thumbs up. Keith Thurman is a hot topic. I know Keith Thurman's a hot topic. You're right. CMD boxing reports. Um, there's so many aspects of Keith Thurman that, like, I've been talking about Keith Thurman for a while now, and you know, one of my biggest problems with Keith Thurman is his how active he is. I know he's a powerful fighter. I know that he gets injuries, but at the end of the day, I felt like he used to be more active. I remember seeing Keith Thurman a lot more active 4 years ago. I'd say when he got on PBC, I started getting comfortable with seeing him fight twice a year. Let's see here. I know I got a comment. CMD, you're going to be doing a video on him soon? Yeah. What do you think about Keith Thurman versus Errol Spence? Do you think this is a fight that Keith Thurman is avoiding? Or is this a fight that is bound to happen? It's just a matter of timing. Because a lot of people are saying that Keith Thurman is scared to fight this fighter, that fighter. And it's kind of funny to see that, because Keith Thurman at one point was the boogeyman in the sport. Yep, 4 years ago when he was hungry. Yeah, that kind of changed. I think what happened is there's that positive thing that's going on with Al Heyman fighters, is they're getting paid, right? But how hungry are they now that they're getting paid, and they're getting $1 million a fight guaranteed? Their main events in top channels like CBS. Some of them, I think there's been a fight on BET. There's been a fight on. There's fights all over the place, and then some of them make it a Showtime. I don't know if Keith Thurman has fought at Showtime yet, but at the end of the day, he hasn't had a pay-per-view event, and he's getting paid fine. Fighting Sean Porter, fighting Danny Garcia. He's developing his resume, but there's Errol Spence. There's the possibility of not just becoming undisputed, moving up in weight. There's the possibility of him being able to become a multi-division world champion. I think that's possible. I don't see why he wouldn't be able to do it. And then I see all these injuries that's happening to him right now. As of right now, I think he's the best welterweight in the division. But there's some guys coming for his throne, and I don't think he's scared. Let's see here. No, I don't think he's avoiding him. He's just waiting until Spence stock rises. But see, here's the thing that I have with this, is that would make sense, right? If they had different managers. It's not Keith Thurman who's waiting. It's not Errol Spence who's waiting. It's Al Heyman. Al Heyman makes the fights. He decides who's fighting who. He's a matchmaker. So at the end of the day, this is all part of Heyman's plan. Um, the only way Al Heyman makes money is if he's able to pay the fighters enough money so that way it's worth it to him to do the job, where he gets a percentage of what he ends up paying them to begin with. So if he can negotiate a deal where these fighters are getting paid, let's say $2 million, right? If Keith Thurman can get paid $2 million in his next fight, he'll get 25% of that, or 30, or whatever contract he has with Keith Thurman. So it's in his best interest to try to get him more money. So it's in his best interest to try to extend this fight out as far as he can until both these guys are profitable. Because at the end of the day, this is a good fight, but it's not asked for like that. Like they can build this fight. This is one of those fights where I don't mind if they build it. There's some people that are all about fight now, fight now, fight now. With Keith Thurman and Errol Spence, I have absolutely no problem if they each fight two people, like two bums. I don't give a fuck. Fight two bums, three bums. I don't care. Build the fight. I want to hear other people start talking about Keith Thurman and Errol Spence, and them start saying, "Oh, this is the next fight in the welterweight division. What if they fought? If either one of these guys fought Floyd Mayweather, they knock him out." You know, that's what I want to hear. Once I start hearing that, then I'm like, okay, this fight's ready to go. But as of right now, if it happened, no one would know about it. And that's a problem. Because the only times these fights matter is if people know about it. Boxing is a lot like that metaphor or that question, you know. If a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? So the same thing happens with these fighters' careers. If no one's there to witness it, does it even matter? Did it even happen? You know what I'm saying? So these guys can have a great fight together, but if no one watches it, no one cares. Why does it matter? It doesn't, right? And that's a shame. That's a shame, because these guys need to, at the end of the day, they need help. They need a promoter. A promoter's job is to promote, right? And here's the thing: the promoters, they work with different clients, and each client will provide them with a certain amount of time to allow them to promote. And these promoters are going to do what's in their best interest. So I'll give you an example. If a fighter is saying, "Well, I only want to work with you for one fight," well, it's not in their best interest to promote this guy as the next generation, as part of the team. It doesn't make sense to invest too much money into the promotion because you're really only focused on one fight. You're getting paid for only one fight. There's no future fights. There's no promises. There's no contract. So that kind of means that you're going to get less attention from the promoter that you're signed with. But if you're signed with them for 3 years, 4 years, maybe 5 years, well, then that promoter has a long-term investment that they have to make, because they're focused on really building you for the next 2-3 years, and they're getting paid off your winnings for those years. So there's a reason for them to work a little harder. They're going to put more attention towards you. And I think that the biggest problem with Keith Thurman and Errol Spence is when they're not fighting, and since they're not active, they don't have a promoter. It's all bad. That means that the only reason why we would even hear about them is if they're on Twitter, or they're putting up some kind of video on YouTube, or there's some kind of ES News type of channel that's putting up footage of them interviewing Errol Spence or Keith Thurman, and it's it's really not what we want to see. We want to see you preparing for your next fight, and they're not fighting active enough. They don't have a promoter that's finding them fights like that. Their manager is trying to. He's just a manager. He's not a promoter, so he's not doing that part of the job. So these guys are missing that, and it shows. So again, it's kind of sad because if this fight happens in 2018, there's a good chance that it's going to be a great fight that no one will talk about. Yeah, Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman needs a promoter. He needs a full-time promoter. So does Errol Spence, especially now early on in his career. Good promoter. It doesn't have to be. Give a shot to even a small-time promoter. Find a promoter from your hometown. Something. Be your own promoter then. If you don't trust anyone else to do that job, be your own promoter. But find out how to do that effectively. Because companies, what they have is these companies, they focus on nothing but making connections. So they make connections with the networks, lawyers, with the different belt organizations. They have phone calls. They have phone numbers to be able to contact high executives for these companies on any given notice. Like if they want to, boom, they can make the call in the middle of the night and have that conversation, and you as a fighter, if you are not able to make those connections, then you got to hire someone that has it. To be honest, they're too cheap for a promoter. Well, they're being cheap. Yeah, they are being cheap. They're being really stingy, but they're being stingy and they're affecting. The problem with this is that they end up affecting the entire division. Oh, what's up, Haplotype? Happy Thanksgiving to you too, man. Hopefully you and your family are having a good time, or you had a good time. I visited my family and just got back about an hour ago, 2 hours ago. I don't know, I lost track of time. I smoked, having a few drinks, and just talking boxing. Yep. I was talking about Keith Thurman, Haplotype, and I noticed that CMD Boxing Reports actually made a good point and said that they're too cheap for a promoter. Well, if that's the case, if they're too cheap for a promoter, they really need to step their game up and promote themselves, because they're affecting the entire division. The entire division they depend on these guys that are at the top to be able to set the ceiling, the roof on this is how much a top guy is going to make. You get what I'm saying? But if they end up getting lazy with this shit, then what happens? The level is low, so someone coming up, they're not going to see a reason to stay at 147. They're going to want to move up or stay in the weight class below them. Because 147, there isn't any top money makers. They hire second-rate promoters because they're trying to set a new. Okay. They hire second-rate promoters because they are trying to set a new paradigm with the advisor role. Well, they're playing the manager role. And I understand what you're saying. But I don't know if it's new. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if this is a new thing that he's doing. It's been done before. Don King did it. You know, Don King did it. He would put himself, he was a promoter, but he put himself as a manager as well, and he did both jobs. So it's not the first time that it's been done. The only difference is you have Al Heyman now like you said, they're hiring these low level, low tier promoters. Let's see here. They're getting around the Ali Act by calling themselves advisors, financial advisors. King got in trouble for being a manager and promoter. Well, that's the funny thing about this is that King and well, this is the biggest difference is that he doesn't have to act as a promoter because he actually has a receipt for hiring a promoter, but he doesn't allow his fighters to have long-term contracts with these promoters. It is a way around the Ali Act without necessarily trying to push the promoters out of business. What he's doing is he's having them fight for these small, insignificant contracts that doesn't benefit the promoter or the fighter. At the end of the day, they just do it as a face or as a front, so that way the promoter doesn't have a say in who the next fight is, how much they're getting paid, what's going to happen. It's going to be all on the advisor / manager's hand. The manager has control of the fighters. It's all about control of the fighters. That's all this is. Is the manager in control of the fighters, or is the promoter control of the fighters? So to say that the fighters are now in control of their own career because of what's going on, it's kind of ridiculous because that's not what we're seeing. All we're seeing is that the power struggle has become, it's now the managers or a manager that has full-on control in the careers of quite a lot of fighters right now that hold championship titles. Exactly, they hire promoters for the license. Yes, they do, Haplotype. They hire promoters for the license. They hire promoters for the one-time deal, one fight, and it's always the same promoter over and over again, or the same few promotional companies over and over again. And they do that for a reason. You know what I mean? I think I don't even think maybe Floyd Mayweather wants to be a promoter. I think the only reason why he's doing it is because that's it. Al Heyman needs that. He needs as many promoters or promotional companies underneath him, so that way he can keep doing what he's doing with all these fighters. I mean, fuck. Floyd Mayweather made Al Heyman who he is today. He made him who he is today. All right, hold on, guys. I gotta walk into a dark room. Oh no, it's not dark. I got the light on. Gotta walk into my office. This is where sometimes I come here to smoke a cigarette and draw, do whatever I gotta do. I got my girl that just started her own business making shea butter. So she's got her, oh shit. This is the caps to her new product. I'm proud of her. She started her own business and she's taking it serious. So, alright, I came all the way out here to smoke a cigarette. I left my cigarettes out here. Alright. So, yeah, Keith Thurman's a hot topic. Errol Spence a hot topic right now. I'm just kind of worried that they're not going to get the recognition they deserve for the fight that they could have against each other. Because at the end of the day, it's a big fight. So, Stevenson's ducking ass is a hot topic. I don't follow Adonis Stevenson. I really don't. It's been too long. I mean, I wanted to see Stevenson versus Kovalev. This shit didn't seem like it was possible. And what am I supposed to do? There's so many other divisions that are out there actually mixing it up, and there's more competition. Talk about doing nothing with a good career. Well, you want to talk about doing nothing with a good career? Let's talk about Erislandy Lara. Erislandy Lara. What the fuck is he doing? At least Stevenson is fighting fighting some guys that pose some kind of a threat, but Erislandy Lara, what the fuck is he doing? Stevenson has done less than Lara. I think you know what? I think we have a debate right there. There's a debate opportunity there. That's how bad both of their careers are, bro. Is that you can really debate on whether Stevenson and Lara have been doing anything. And it's kind of sad because they're good fighters. They're really good fighters. They have excellent resumes altogether. But at the end of the day, they're not doing shit right now. Kind of fake champions, you know? The dead guy or the guy who never existed. If that fight between Kovalev and Stevenson would have happened, I would have went with Kovalev. I would have went with Stevenson. I honestly felt Stevenson could beat Kovalev. But it didn't happen. I have a problem sometimes with these fights that don't happen, where I'm thinking, you know, I think the person that I want to see fight can actually win. And when I see that they don't take the fight, it leaves me with a bad taste in my mouth, kind of like with Leo Santa Cruz and Guillermo Rigondeaux. I felt like Leo Santa Cruz has a good chance of beating Rigo, but him not taking the fight, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Canelo versus Triple G. You know, I always felt Canelo could beat Triple G. I think that he did beat Triple G. I think that if this fight happened again, he will beat Triple G again. But Canelo just took the fight. He made the fight happen. I'm happy with that. If he didn't take the fight, it would be a disappointment because I've always felt like he could beat Triple G. You get what I'm saying? Same thing with Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs did a good job in taking the fight with Triple G. I always felt he could win, and I felt he did win. If that fight between... Oh, no. Lara was talking about fighting Demetrius Andrade. I mean, he should have been fighting Demetrius. Andrade has been calling him out. Been calling him out for a while now. It's been years talking about before Mayweather fought Canelo, before 2012. They've been talking about it. Yeah, they should have been fought. That's right. I mean, what's the holdup? Honestly, Lara should have fought one of the Charlos by now. He should have been fighting Hurd. He should have been fighting everyone. There's no reason why he's not fighting any one of these champions. If he wanted to move up to 160, he should have been fighting someone at 160. You saw how Charlo moved up and he got a fight at 160, and he's calling out Triple G and Canelo. And that makes sense because he's moving up and actually doing it. But having Lara just talk about it, again, that's also something that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. It's like, I had a lot of respect for Lara, but I always felt like Lara was more talk than he was walk. And it was always frustrating to see Erislandy Lara not try to prove that he was willing to take these fights. Alright guys, I got my battery dying. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm actually gonna I'll probably try to do another video. If you guys leave in the comment section something that you want to talk about, because I've been freestyling, I really didn't have anything planned, but have something ready to go for me. Give me a few topics, that would help. And if you guys are down, maybe I'll post another video. I'll do another live stream in a few hours. This is Aztec 101 in the ring, and happy Thanksgiving. I'm out.